Hey everybody, welcome back to Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. Before we get started, as always, please, www.theshavingcadre.com. Please come and visit us. We do believe that we are the finest gentlemanly forum on the interwebs. Right over here, Barber Pole with the cowboy hat. Please click on that to subscribe, ring the bell, we do have a merchandise store as well. Take a look at all the neat stuff we have for Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. And also, don't forget to also look at Drinks and Dave's. This is our new channel in collaboration with Nurse Dave's Shaving World. And our next live broadcast is going to be tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific. So please take a look at that. Now, today we are going to be using Saponificio Veracino products. And you can get a discount on all those products when you use the code you'll see in just a few seconds. Take a look at this, and we'll be right back for the shave. Hey everybody, welcome to Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home, and we're very excited to announce that we are now being sponsored and a brand ambassador for Brand to Markets, the exclusive distributor of Saponificio Veracino and Cella Milano 1899 in the United States. And as a special gift to you, our viewers, we're going to be offering a 20% discount on all products excluding razors and brushes at both sites, with a $30 minimum order. Just use the code BARBERDAVE to receive that discount. We'll include those links at the end of this video. So thanks a lot. We appreciate you viewing. Check out Cella Milano and Saponificio Veracino and enjoy the discounts. Hey everybody, welcome back. I've got a lot to talk about today. Well, not a lot, but enough. Somebody had made a mention that that was the first time that they saw me on yesterday's video, the first time that they saw me cut myself. I wish that was the case. Just know this, if you're shaving, whether it be with a DE, an SE, or especially a straight razor, there is going to come a point in time, probably more often than not, that you are going to cut yourself or nick yourself. That's just part of the process, and it happens whether you have 50 shaves or whether you are approaching 5,500 shaves. It doesn't matter. You're going to have oopsies. So today, that little, and what it was I pushed a bad issue yesterday. I ran into a follicle that was not wanting to give up its protection, and I pushed through it, which I always harp on not doing. Don't forget, like you saw in the promo, you can get 20% off on all Saponificio Veracino products through Brand to Markets. And there are some exclusions, so just take a look in those links. You can get your stock of either Cella or Saponificio Veracino. This soap that I'm using today, I haven't used in a while. It's not one of their more popular ones. I mean, they're all great soaps, but it has a very cooling, although there's no menthol, but a citrusy, spicy type of fragrance. And the soap, although it's not in, these boxes they used to make, and they were wonderful, but unfortunately, I guess they had some control issues. But this is Manna de Sicilia, so Sicilian Manna, and it's really good. It's spicy, bright, citrusy, a little bit on the warm side, but not to the point where it would be cloying in the heat, because we're going to be at 114 today, so that should be fun. The razor we're using today, again, we're using almost all Saponificio Veracino products. We're using the number 2 razor in actually the number 3 razor in the collection, and that's the Galileo Galilei, and that was created by Thierce Izzard for Saponificio Veracino. And you guys all know me, I'm matchy, so we're matching the products and everything else. So hope everybody's doing well. This razor has been stropped on a Balsa CBN convex. And then followed on a convex Horween bench strop. This is a pretty, for a Thierce Izzard, it's a pretty big, heavy razor. 6/8 full hollow. And it's one of the few Therizards that I have that is not a really bright singing razor. A lot of the ones you can actually hear them. And you'll get a little bit of a ring while you're shaving. This one, not so much. I think a lot of that is due to the thickness and the artwork on the spine, possibly. But just a really fun razor to use. It does have a modified French point, which kind of bridges on the Spanish point, but it does have a little bit of a barber notch on it. So what else is going on? Oh, yesterday, and I want to thank Kay Murray for bringing it up. Asked about El Doggo, my dog Kona, or better known as the real Wile E. Coyote. He's half German Shepherd, half Husky, but he's got the colorings and the markings of Wile E. Coyote with bright green eyes. But anyhow, I had mentioned yesterday that we had a little bit of a scare because he had tangled with a critter out in our yard one evening. And unfortunately, those of you that know Arizona or the Southwest in general, everything, especially when you're near the mountains, everything either sticks, stings, or bites. That's our kind of our motto, from the plants to the animals to the insects. Well, we have one that comes out during the humid times and during our monsoon, which is already meteorologically in force, but we usually don't get our major rains until July. But Kona went outside in the evening to do his normal patrol, doing his job. And we've got a relatively large backyard that backs up to the rest of our property, and we live in a rural area up against the mountains. And, this time of year, we do worry a little bit about, other types of critters, but you don't really think too much about the Colorado river toad. Now, the Colorado river toad, I guess, is a part of a genus that excretes a poison from their back and from their legs if they feel that they're threatened. And they can be deadly, believe it or not, to both humans and dogs, depending on what's being done. Now, with a dog, all the dog has to do is start playing with the toad, and the toad will excrete the poison on its legs and its back, which turns the frog from kind of a deep, muddy green to a yellow, and that's the toxin. And so the dog ingests it into its mouth, and immediately the dog will start having some, for lack of a better term, hallucinogenic properties. Now, if he swallows too much of the poison, or he bites into the frog and swallows too much, and if they do not receive emergency care, they'll die, depending on how much poison they ingest. Well, what had happened is he went out, and it was in the evening, and we, he didn't come right back in like he normally does, because our dog is smart enough that he'll actually open the screen door so we know when he's there. And he didn't do that. So we went out and got him, and all of a sudden he ran in the house. And there's quite a distance, probably 80 feet from our master bedroom to our den where we hang out. And all of a sudden, he's hyper to begin with. So all of a sudden, he started going back and forth as fast as he could. And he was snapping, Now, we didn't know about the frog yet, but he was snapping and snapping and snapping. And then the problem is the cats thought he was playing, and the cats would run in front of him, and then an 80-pound dog would just bowl him over. So we finally got him to calm down, and he came up to me, and you could see you couldn't see any of the green in his eye. It was all black, so his eyes were dilated. So picture somebody that is high, stoned, drunk, on methamphetamines, uppers, and everything all at the same time. That's what he was doing. And I'll continue that in a minute. So he would calm down for about 5 minutes, and then boom, off he started running again and snapping and scratching, and he was just not having a good time. So we started to suspect that that's what it was, and so immediately we got him into the shower and basically started waterboarding our dog, because you can't put the water directly in their mouth because it'll go into their stomach and they'll get sick. And fortunately, he was not having seizures or vomiting or being lethargic. He was just being really hyper. So I think we caught it quick enough. So basically, we started just copious amounts of water in the shower. I went out, found the frog, launched the frog without touching it, of course, because then I could get sick. And then came back in. And by the time I came back in, we were done with the water, and he was still really hyper and panting and everything else. So we had to be careful, because you don't want him to drink more water, because then if there's any poison, any residual poison, then they can get even worse. So we kept him away from water, and like I said, we probably ran water on his, through his mouth and everything for about 20 minutes. And of course, I called, even though we pretty much knew what it was, and we found the frog, and the frog was yellow, so it had all of its toxins released. We called the emergency pet hospital, which is down in town. And unfortunately, I was fully expecting for the doctor or the vet tech to say, well, sir, we cannot really determine what happened to your dog, so we need you to bring the dog in. And then, of course, $15,000 later, they'll say, oh, by the way, go home, put water through your dog. But fortunately, the vet that I talked to, after we talked for a few minutes, pretty much agreed that, yes, indeed, it was a Colorado river toad, which we already knew. And she just asked a few questions, again, is he having seizure activity? No. Is he lethargic? No. Is he hyper? Yes. Is he snapping his teeth? Yes. Have you ran water through his mouth copiously for 15 or 20 minutes? Yes. And so the ultimate thing was just to keep an eye on him for a few hours to make sure that he didn't ingest too much of the poison into him, and make sure he didn't have any seizures, or if he didn't get too lethargic or where he couldn't respond. And he was tired, you could tell. So we watched him for the next few hours, and then he seemed to be fine. And then the next day he was, he slept a lot, but then he kind of calmed down, and now he's back to normal. So that was our excitement during the week this week. So there's always something out here in the desert that can get you. We had a fairly large, probably a 6 to 8 foot rattlesnake last year. And him and the cat were both outside, and they saw it, and they came running and barking and squealing. And so they warned us of it. So we figured he's okay with rattlesnakes, but the toad we didn't even think of. So we're probably going to take him through some type of toad avoidance class, and probably do the snake class while we're at it, just to be safe. But yeah, it was interesting and scary, because for us, our animals are our kids. as I had mentioned yesterday, one of our viewers, Danica, had asked about maybe doing a series of budget shaves. And what that is shaves that are, you know, the cost of the goods are fairly inexpensive. They're available to everybody, including razors. So next week's series may be more DE. It may do a couple of straight razors that you can find inexpensively. But more importantly, Novice Wet Shaver, another one of our viewers, had asked if I could talk about how you pair shaving stuff. So in other words, how do you pair soaps with aftershaves if you don't have the matching, aftershave, or let's say you just don't like the matching stuff that comes with the soap. So we'll talk about that as well, is because years back, I actually started making fragrances. So I went through a perfumer's course and got certified, for lack of a better term, in perfuming. And so we'll talk about the use of the fragrance wheel, which you can find online, and how you compare the different fragrances from across the wheel if they have shared notes. And you don't always have to do that, but it does make for a nicer shave profile. So we'll go over those things next week. As most of you also know, that Mondays is Barber Errand Day, but today, because of how hot it is outside and some other commitments that I had in the morning, I'm going to do most of that tomorrow, because it's supposed to go from, tomorrow is not going to be 115. Tomorrow is going to be 101. Go figure. So anyhow, that's our shave so far, and we'll go over all the other accoutrements in just a few minutes. As I said earlier, I do appreciate everybody who's subscribing. Our next big contest will be at 1,100, and we're getting there slowly but surely. But we do appreciate your support and the support of the Drinks and Dave's channel, and of course the Shaving Cadre. And as I said, it's nice to get some comments, people asking for different things. As far as, things to show, things to talk about, and stuff like that. So anything I can do that'll help you in your shaves, or help you in product choices and stuff like that. I'm by no means an expert in all of it, but I've been doing it a long time. And that way you can kind of pick and choose on your own what you'd like to use for your shaves. I had a phone call earlier that somebody asked, when you do finally get to the point where you are straight shaving, is it a smoother shave? Well, again, you're going to get, just like honing, you're going to get 5 different opinions from 50 different people on what the best way to hone and do is. You got to find what's good for you. And the same goes with fragrances. The same goes with shaving. Now, can you get a super, super smooth shave with a DE and SE? Sure, of course. Every bit as good as a straight shave. But do I feel that the straight shave is a smoother shave? Yes. Once you get your technique down and you know exactly what you're doing, yes. And the big key is the longevity of a straight shave, I believe, is higher. Again, my opinion only. And please comment, give us your opinions as well. We'd certainly like to see it. For the, since we have kind of a spicy citrus, we're going to be using Thayer's Lemon for our Witch Hazel today. That kind of brightens it up a little bit as well. We'll let that dry down a little bit. So again, we're using number 3 in the collector's series for Sapofficcio Veracino, made by Thayer's Scissor, the Galileo Galilei 6/8, with just a wonderful, wonderful razor. The soap, again, was Manna de Sicilia from Saponificio Veracino. One of their older fragrances, but really nice. Unfortunately, you can't get these boxes anymore, but they're absolutely wonderful. And they made a couple of different versions, both round and square and stuff like that. And then the old, the new bottles of the aftershave for Saponificio Veracino look like that. These are the original barber bottles. For years and years and years, you could not get these unless you were a certified barber, and they were for barber use only. Then the popularity of these things became so huge, and there wasn't a lot of barbers buying those, aside from myself and a few others, so they decided to switch to these larger bottles, and I'm glad they did. Not that the old bottles were bad, but here were the older bottles, and still good. Their aftershave is all natural-based alcohols, a little bit thicker, so you don't need a lot, but just a wonderful, spicy citrus scent, and the skin food properties are just fantastic. Your face will feel absolutely wonderful with these. So don't forget, like I said, take a look at that beginning. If you're just joining us, take a look at that beginning promo where you can get 20% off through brand to markets. We're just going to be using Yardley talc today. Now, I have been pushing to see if Saponificio Veracino will do a talc in their various fragrances, because they do have everything else. They've got lotions, they've got shampoos, they've got everything else. But I'm not, I do not know the process of making talcs. It's probably very labor intensive, but it would be nice to see them do that, because to have what they call the matchy-matchy. I do not have the EDT. In fact, I don't even think Manna de Sicilia comes in an EDT. So I wanted to find a fragrance that it works real well. And I don't know how I got this. I think I was given this in a piff or during a Christmas present, or somebody just gave it to me. And it's Hugo Boss Dark Blue. And it does have kind of a Mediterranean feel to it, which is nice. I don't know if it's an homage to another fragrance. I really don't know, but it's just really nice. It's a powerhouse too. This one rates just a little bit less than some of the polo greens and stuff like that. So anyhow, that's our shave for the day, folks. I certainly appreciate you joining us at Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. Once again, please come and visit us at the Shaving Cadre. Check out all the other stuff, including all the people that are linked down in the bottom. I hope everybody has a wonderful beginning to the week and the rest of the week, and we'll see you for one more shave tomorrow. And one final thing, please don't forget, Drinks and Days, 5 p.m. Pacific tonight for our next live show, where Greg from Burke's Beans will be talking about coffee. That's right, coffee, another good thing to talk about. So, and again, everybody, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again tomorrow, and thanks so much.